Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Gap podcast. I'm your host, Chris Hill, and today this is episode 8, where we're going to be talking about the health, wealth, and happiness triangle. In the last episode, we discovered mindset, and mindset is obviously a huge part of unlocking your potential to grow a business. But health, wealth, and happiness is a completely different concept, but it is directly related to the two. If you haven't started your business, it's something you should do before you begin. If you already have a business or you already have an empire, you're already scaling companies, it's something you should tune into because it's all about balance. Balance in business and balance in life is what keeps us on a level. And without balance, we can quite easily be thrown off into all sorts of problems. Now, I talk about this in my book, which you can get at buildyourlifestyle.co.uk/STP. We're going to go over it very high level today, but it goes more in depth there with some practical solutions of how you can test this. But with health, wealth, and happiness, without a balance of all three, you can end up in a difficult place. When we started our companies, we actually started them with this in mind before I'd even created the concept. When I started building businesses on Amazon, I had 3 goals. I wanted to be healthy, so I wanted time for myself to be able to stay fit and healthy rather than fat and lazy, essentially. I wanted to be wealthy. This business needed to be able to pay me more than I'd ever been paid before without the need of time. Because my third was happiness. And that was driven by time with my family. It was driven by being able to do the school run for the kids. It was by having that freedom to choose really where I wanted to be at any given time. And that's why we chose Amazon businesses. It allows us to do part-time hours and earn CEO salaries. Like, that's the reality of the business models we created. And off the back of that, we realised we had this ability to measure our health, wealth, and happiness and stay in check with them at all times. We don't always stay balanced. And I want to give that caveat before we start talking about this, which is we sprint at a corner of each of these triangles, or a pillar, which is what I'll discuss as we go through this. We sprint at a pillar for 6 to 8 weeks. So we might sprint at wealth for 6 to 8 weeks and go really hard on growing the business. And during that time, the others are declining. But we know a pendulum swings and we have to then come back and say, right, well, for every 8 weeks we sprint at wealth, we need to let the pendulum swing back the other way and focus on our happiness and our health, because there's no way you can do all 3 at the same time. So the health, wealth, and happiness triangle is, as it states, it's a triangle with each point having its own purpose. You've got health at the top, wealth at the bottom left corner, and then happiness in the bottom right corner. The way to look at this is if you have a central point bang in the middle, you've absolutely nailed where you need to be. You're going to have enough wealth around you to be satisfied. Your health is in such a way that you can do everything you want to do, and you've got the future covered. And your happiness is exactly the same as well. You feel happy, content, you're in a good place with not just people around you, but with yourself. Now, the way to look at this is imagine that triangle is now laid on the floor, and from it, you are creating a pyramid up to the sky. Where the points touch, you have a string hanging down and you have a ball in the middle of that string. So it's hanging dead central on that triangle on the ground. If you want to go up in levels, you're going to have to swing that ball towards one of the corners. So if you want to go up the levels of business, you're going to have to take your eye off some of your happiness and some of your health in order to push your business forward, because it's going to ensue things like stress, time away from people. There's big time commitments when it comes to first scaling a company. But as you swing that string, the string shortens and it takes you up to the next level. And as it swings back, when you're allowing the pendulum to come back in the opposite direction, you find yourself at a new level of that triangle or of that pyramid. Now, where do we see this go wrong? I'm going to give you an example of where this can go wrong. And I'm going to give you an example of a type of person to illustrate this. Let's think about like a banker working in London. Now, he's got his family. They're at home. They live maybe in, I don't know, Cambridgeshire. He travels into London every day. And the whole purpose of him working in London, working hard, doing those 90-hour weeks, is to give his family a better life. Now, he starts with the right intention in mind. He starts balanced. He's got a family that he loves, in a home that he loves. He's a happy man. and he's going to go out and get that job, that career. So he starts down that path and he swings the ball at wealth. The problem is that can take years to get there. So that first intention of wealth is, I'm going to go to London. I'm going to absolutely nail this career. I'm going to do the 90 hours. I'm going to impress my boss. I'm going to do 120 hours. I'm going to really start to get in with the business so I can scale through the ranks. But the problem is, first week goes by and that's fine. Second week, fine. The family are all good. Year goes by and actually he's gained a stone in weight, or she's gained a stone in weight. And they haven't seen the family as much. They missed that first birthday. They missed that opportunity to go and celebrate something, because the goal is, no, we need to get to the wealthy part. We need to get to the wealth. We're chasing wealth and we're just going to focus on it. So year one goes by and everyone's okay with it, but we're starting to see a decline in happiness and we're starting to see a decline in health. Second year goes by, the stress levels increase as the job role increases as well. The wealth is going up, but the health and the happiness is still in decline. So now the family are starting to get annoyed that maybe dad isn't there, or that mum isn't there, or that their partner or husband or wife isn't there because they're out working. They still understand the mission. The mission is to get wealthy and live this life that others can't by doing the things that others won't. But it's starting to grate on people. The person doing the work is still in the mindset of mission. No, that we're doing this for a purpose. We're trying to get to this next level, this next goal. But the problem is the people at home are starting to see maybe a different side of things. Year 2 turns to year 3, into year 4, maybe 5, then 10, then 15 years have gone by. And although the wealth level has increased, we've gone from maybe earning 50k a year up to maybe 250k. Everyone at home is looked after. The kids are in university, the top finest universities. They all drive nice cars, the best phones, the best technology. They've got everything they could possibly want from that perspective. Life is made. The person doing the doing is now run down, heavily overweight, drastically poorly. Maybe they've picked up an illness because they're working 120 hours a week. They're grabbing food from local takeaways and restaurants and late nights and on the train and fueling their body at service stations where you should only really fuel your car and not yourself. So they're starting to decline in their own happiness and their own health, but they're stuck in this loop of chasing wealth. Now let's go back home. We've got this family who have got everything. They go on great holidays, they have all of the technology, they have all of the nice clothes, they've got everything they could possibly want from a wealth perspective, but they miss their dad, they miss their partner, and all of a sudden it all comes apart. The ball starts unravelling because the arguments are, you're never here. But to the person who's doing the doing, it's because I'm providing you with all of these nice things that you get to enjoy. And all of a sudden these blockers are there and things start to break down. We see divorce coming in. We see the kids hating their parents and looking to take different paths and rebelling. And although this is a story, I'm sure you can start to see some resonance of people you know or people you've seen who have been through this. And the problem they had is they chased one thing consistently. They never drew back. They never let the pendulum swing. And the further and further it goes, the harder and harder it is to draw back. Because imagine spending a year chasing wealth and then saying, cool, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm just going to focus on my happiness and my health. I'm going to focus a whole year on that. Your earnings would drop. You wouldn't be able to sustain life. And you're just going to have to keep chasing. So when you look at this health, wealth and happiness balance, you have to really consider, well, how can I stay balanced in the middle and happy in all elements, sprint towards one, and then make sure the pendulum swings back so everything is serviced. And it's not just for other people. It's not just for the people at home. It's not just for the partners, for the children. It's for you as well. Because if you chase just one thing, you're going to end up maybe drastically or vastly successful and very wealthy, but you won't be very happy and you won't be very healthy. And what's the point in getting to the top of that ladder if it's not where you want to be? And it doesn't just happen for wealth either. You have people who just chase happiness or they just chase health. Now, they might be satisfied with just chasing health. They might be the fittest person in the world, but if they then work in a dead-end job and not able to maybe go and do the things they want to do or afford the things they want to have or whatever it is, it just doesn't balance. Wealth is the biggest one, where you swing the pendulum too far and it can cause issues, but the others also have problems. If you swing too far at happiness, you could end up broke and obese. If you swing too far at health, you could end up unhappy because you're just so obsessed with health that you don't focus on happiness and without anything to pass down to your kids or anything to live off. So that's why we created the health, wealth and happiness triangle. And like I said, if you go over to buildyourlifestyle.co.uk/STP, you'll be able to grab a copy of the book, and it will give you the practical tools and systems, not only to figure out how you stay balanced, but to figure out where you are now, to hold that mirror up so you can understand, well, where is the balance right now and how far out of whack is it? And before you start that journey into entrepreneurship or you scale to the next level, start to really understand, well, what is going to achieve what I want? So if you're in a business where you're stuck in the wealth chase and actually it requires all of your time to keep the thing going, what other models are available to you to then have a product that you sell once and then you can live on forever? And we have another podcast about that as well if you want to check back through the episodes. So that is episode 8, the health, wealth and happiness triangle. And tune in next week where our guest Dan Levy is going to be speaking about franchising, about big business and how his journey started and where he got to. Stay tuned.